You know this camera has to. That you're gonna be hurting.
You don't think let me eat it?
Huh?
Where's that? I need on my hat. Wait a minute. I'm gonna eat that. Oh.
Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired.
We do not own the rights to this music.
And when I knew I had to face another
It's
day,
a different song.
oh, it made me feel so tired.
Hey.
Before the day I met you, life was so unkind.
Oh,
And you're the
are
key
you trying to say
to
something here?
my
What?
peace of mind.
That's what I said. You can take pictures. What?
But you make me feel like a natural woman.
I'm trying my best.
I don't know if there's really a topic for, a song for.
It's not a real song for spousal support. It really isn't. How are y'all doing today? Hope all is well.
Hey family, it's Maddox Merge Mondays.
All right. Not
Trying
really. I'm trying
to make me feel like a natural woman. Tonight's live is about I love you too, Erica. Hey sis.
Hope y'all are doing well. Hope you're having a good Monday. Hope you had a great weekend.
Come on.
Hey Mom, how are you? How are you literally ready for bed already?
I feel you.
4, 5, 6. It ain't but 7 o'clock where you at.
This has been one of those
Long weekends.
it's Monday. And Monday is feeling like Monday is feeling for me.
Monday morning. I think that's
For
Monday.
me, it's like that.
All right.
I can't put I don't want the water bottle in here because they're not paying me.
We do not own the rights to this music at all. However,
He's tired, so
I am tired.
One of these subjects that we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah, I'm very, very tired. I was trying to put a box spring together, and one of the pieces on the box spring is incorrect. It's not cut right. So now I got to put it back in the box, and then turn around and send it back. I've moved things around. I've watched it. It's incorrect. So it's a bad piece that they sent. So anyway, thank God I got another one. So anyway,
it is Maddox Marriage Monday, and today, this afternoon for some, night for some, we're talking about spousal support. But I don't know if it's just spousal support. I think it should be all kinds of support.
Family support.
Family support when one family member is going through a crisis. We're kind of in crisis mode right now. I think we're coming out of it. But, you know,
why we've been,
we're tired. We are tired. It's exhausting. When you're going through stuff, it is exhausting. That's why, I know that you have to go through things because it is what makes you as a person and strengthens you as an individual. And there's lessons to be learned through everything that you go through. And so I totally get, Yeah, spousal support, financial, emotional, all of the above. It is so imperative that you have the person in your life that is able to give you levels of support. This is why marriage is more than just um, butterflies in the stomach. And I don't think people get that. We are getting ready in the next few weeks to be celebrating our 29th wedding anniversary.
Yep.
And
Woohoo!
oh my
Well, we
goodness,
can't go nowhere.
we can't travel, but
We're accustomed to traveling and going places, but we can't do that right now.
yeah, but 29 years in, we are going through what we have considered a pretty significant
Milestone.
event that happened, you know, with me finding who my father is. So just an event. I don't know if it's like a milestone. It's more of an event.
You do that event. Okay. Yeah, that's an event.
Yes.
That's a draining event.
Yeah. So it's been draining. It's been draining. It's been emotional. Poor Keith though. I mean I have to say kudos to him for standing in and standing in the gap and trying to navigate through this uncharted territories. I said on one of my individual lives that I definitely did not expect to have the range of emotions that I am going through right now. And I'm going to say going through because I'm still in process. And I'm going to be very careful on this live tonight because I literally go from emotionally stable to emotional instability in like a matter of seconds. So I have to be very careful and mindful of what I'm feeling and processing because I don't want every live to be me sobbing, which is so out of character for me. But I'm feeling it. I'm going to feel every emotion. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to close it. Right. I want to compartmentalize it right now. I'm good at that. I want to put it in a section away so that I can function, you know, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Put it on pause.
Put it on pause. Put it in this little compartment. But that's not always healthy. It's healthy in some circumstances, but it's not always healthy. So I am literally going to allow myself to feel all of the emotions of this so that I can get through it and process it the way that I need to process it. So Keith has been my rock, my support, the person that just really looks like, oh Lord Jesus, what are we going through? How do I told him to stop. I call him sad eyes. Don't look at me with sad eyes.
Y'all see my face.
He's had sad eyes for me. He has, you know, let's just go to sleep. Let's just eat ice cream and pull the blinds and let's just, you know, support, you know, that way, like any type of way that he's tried everything. And I've yelled a couple of times in him trying to dialogue with me, and then I go off the deep end, and that's what I'm saying. I am literally an emotional roller coaster, and it's totally it's not anticipated. I had no idea. I never planned for any of this, and it's totally out of character for me because I'm pretty stable for the most part, considering all the things that I've gone through. I'm pretty stable. This is kind of throwing me for an absolute loop. So,
but that's what happens. You have to show up for the person that you love and that you care for, whether it's a friend, whether it's a spouse, whether it is a relative. Everybody needs some kind of support system when you're in crisis mode. And it's not always easy and you can't take things personal. You have to be willing to just let the person vent, hear them out, because when you don't understand something, it has a tendency to frustrate you. And Bishop Jakes made a statement that stuck with me a while back, a couple weeks ago actually, and he said that uncertainty is its own affliction. When you don't know and you're trying to figure out, it has its own burden. it has its own issues, and it makes you feel some sort of kind of way. Um, like my wife said, today she may be feeling like, blue. Tomorrow it may be, you know, okay, I'm all right. I'm gonna just deal with this, and then all of a sudden there's a crash and burn. Things happen from day to day, and it seems like the more news you get, or the more information you find out, it has a way of altering your emotional state.
Yeah, and for mine, it's not just day to day; it's moment by moment. I can start talking about it. We were just sitting yesterday and we're just casually talking, and he made a statement, and not that I took it. I don't think I took it the wrong way. I don't think he understood like my feeling about it. Like I get that it should be enough at some point just knowing, right? And I didn't say, and what's true of it is I didn't have any expectations. I absolutely did not have any expectations. And it should be enough just knowing, but it's not. It's not, because I'm pissed, and I'm angry. Tip says she has the peach cobbler with ice cream. Oh, girl.
You still got some left?
Man. Um, yeah, it's not just, it's the knowing. It's the knowing, but then it is, I guess I did have in the back of my mind. It's that stuff that's hidden, like you don't know. So take your time to explore how you really feel about things, because you can fool yourself. I really believe like I'm gonna know and I'm gonna be cool. I found out and then I wasn't cool. And then
Right.
I was just like, I feel like, how messed up is that? That I get to the end of this road and there are people, this is what I wanted him and all the other people that have spoken to me about this, is that there are people that have positive outcomes after finding their father for 47 years, after 47 years.
Right.
There are people who fathers are still alive and fathers they have built relationships with. Some go awry, some don't, some are deceased or whatever the case may be. But there are good stories, I can't help but to feel like it sucks to not have a good ending. Like it just sucked. I don't have any other word for it other than it sucks. It sucks to work all this hard, this way, and in this thing, and then at the end of it, it goes to pot. Like it sucks.
You almost want to say, what is the point? What's the use? Why did I even inquire in the first place? But I think, as they often said in the past, if you dig for something enough, you're going to find it. And it's not going to always be pretty. Some people have very, very disturbing information that they find out. Some people's information happens to be one that's blissful, and they are so happy that they enjoy one another and enjoy people they've not known. But what I've been trying to do is get her to focus on uh, the family who have embraced her. She has cousins that I ear hustle, and I hear them talking on the phone, and I hear her laughter, and I hear the excitement, and I hear the trying to piece the puzzle together. And so they have embraced her, look like 100%. And so that's where I want to try to shift her focus, because sometimes you can be so focused on what's not that you don't really focus on what is.
And I get that,
And
I totally get that, and I honor that. I honor
bunch of
that.
pretty folks too.
I honor that. I honor the support and what I get, what he's trying to do. I totally get that, and I agree. I definitely agree. But the moments of feeling like
Right.
it,
You sometimes you just don't feel like it.
like I just right now I want to feel like it sucked,
and that's all right.
Like somebody told me yesterday who has been amazing to me during this process. She said, take your 10 minutes, take your 10 minutes be mad, be frustrated, take your time, cry it out, and then, try to refocus. And that's what I'm trying to do. I spend these moments of trying, and then I have to refocus. But, and then people say, I've said all kinds of stuff, and it's kind of, to me, what I consider kind of unhelpful comments, and that is, at least, yeah, at least I know, hooray, yeah, I know. And that's a part of it. And I do put that in a space. I do put that, but that's not the,
but I ain't in that space yet.
That's not the extent of it.
Right.
The at least is not the extent of it. It is still a feeling of this sucks. And then there's circumstances around my birth and all of that stuff. And I know people say, oh, that doesn't matter. At least you're here. No, if it did matter, then it wouldn't affect me. And I am, and mind you, I'm not a person who don't do work on myself. I am very therapeutic, not only to others or when I'm speaking to others, but it's also for myself. We process. He has been my team to be able. I have another lady who it was my clinical supervisor who I process with. I don't have problems with processing and looking at things in a different way and trying to figure out how to best navigate when things hit you. I've done that. The emotion of it, what makes me, cry about it and whatever, still happens though, even in the process of all of that. And in the knowing, there's still tears that flow. There's still anger that has to be regurgitated because I feel like I have to go through this process again. And I've gone through a lot in my life that I am so tired. And I'm not going to say that word again because that is one of my trigger words. I am.
Yeah, you get
exhausted.
Like
I just don't want to process none of this no more.
Yeah, because it does. It affects you emotionally, physically, mentally. You get exhausted, and some things you have to take a break from. Mm-hmm. You have to put it on pause. You know what? I'm not going to deal with this today. Whether it's phone calls that you're expecting, information that you're expecting, sometimes you just have to say, okay, today I'm taking off. I'm not doing anything. I'm not. And that's one of the reasons why it's kind of for us, there's no where we would be here right now. We would be gone somewhere, whether it's Hawaii, right, or whether it's Cuba. We would be somewhere where we're able to debrief on everything that we have gone through, that we've dealt with. And unfortunately, well, no, not unfortunately, but we're at home right now. And so we're having to deal with all of this in our space. And you have to find your space, whether it's your bathroom, whether it's gardening, whether it's cutting the grass, whether it's planting, whatever it is. Find you some space and some time to be able to decompress, debrief, and deal with things as they are. Don't try to deal with things in a full chunk because you don't have that kind of energy. Right. Just deal with things a little bit at a time as they come and as the emotions come. Like right now. This is why we don't do this.
You see, this is the part that I feel is stupid. I tell you the truth, I am not an emotional person on this level. And literally, it just happens. And that's what I'm trying to say and then I have to stop for a moment. I do have to feel what I'm feeling at the moment, but it's so true. It is true of what I feel. And I would be lying to myself and lying to others if I suppress. It is not good to always suppress. You have to be able to release so that I can be better. I want to smile outside of this. I want this to be a part of my journey that I can tell the testimony like I've been able to tell so many in my life. I want to do that. But guess what? Okay, here's the truth. I wasn't trying to sign up for another testimony. Not in this way.
I don't want to be responsible.
I don't want to be the person to have to get through this so that I can help somebody else go through this. I'm just trying to tell you. I wasn't signing up for that. So that's a part of it. is feeling like, here I go again with another something that is going to potentially help somebody. And that's one of my triggers when people tell me like, oh, this will be able to help many. You don't know.
Sometimes you don't want to hear all that.
You don't know. I mean, you don't know what that does to me, because I literally, okay, maybe it will, but it ain't what I signed up for. Okay, it's not what I signed up for. It's not what I asked for. I'm not trying. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want this one. I don't want this story to have to tell of this story. And then I have enough. I have enough to tell and inspire and encourage and all of that stuff.
Right.
And so every now and again, it just feels like, no, that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. People say, you know what, you're going to write another book. Well, that's not what I want. I don't want to tell this one. I want to tell this. I don't want this to be a part of my story. I want it to end this thing. And the truth is why I think I'm so angry is because I wanted to tell it like, oh my gosh, I found him. He's an amazing person. Look, guys, here's the reunion. Balloons everywhere, cake, and all of this stuff. And then we're filming the reunion, and it's this cool thing. And oh my gosh, he's such an amazing guy. And then I'm telling, now the new story will be of how our fathers meet and all, like that was, I wanted that. And I didn't get that. So it sucks. Okay?
And it's all right. It's all right.
Lydia says he's doing exactly what a husband does for his wife, which is very true. Not too many spouses can handle what you're going through and have gone through. I know he's definitely a special guy. I tell him that all the time, and I told him that God really thinks highly of him to give this man a person who was parentless, and then find all these pieces of the puzzle. And then you have an integral part in the restoration of a person, of a whole person. And that's not easy. It's not, I feel bad for him sometimes. And that's why I tell him, don't give me sad eyes, but I do feel bad because I can feel the other day, like
because
I said.
I want to fix it. But how can you keep fixing something, then all of a sudden you keep finding another broken piece? It's like, dude, really?
Yeah. So I felt his frustration the other day, which actually gave me comical relief. And how weird is that? But to see, and it was kind of like somebody finally felt, he put words to what I feel on the inside, and he did it in a way that actually just made me laugh. It was just like, yeah, that's true. Enough of this already. And here we go again. And then the more we seem like the more questions I ask, the worse it gets. And that's where it is, quite painful. But
listen,
anyway.
I'm going to say this, and I really do know that a lot of us feel like this, but it's not religiously, what's the word I'm looking for? Kosher to make a statement like this. However, we pride ourselves on being so strong and being the strong one. Well, I don't want to be strong today.
Not today.
Some things, everybody has those moments. Everybody has those days. And it's okay to not want to, I don't want to be responsible. That's what I tell my children. They want me to do this. I don't want to be responsible today. I don't want to know how much gas you got in your car and know when you want me to put gas in it. I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't want to be responsible for your washing machine breaking. Call the man to fix it. I don't want to be responsible for fixing your garage door because call the man to fix it. So sometimes it's okay to not want to be responsible. I don't want to be the strong one today.
Yeah. Can
I just process what I'm processing a little bit at a time? And that's why I give her so much room, because I'm not acting like I know what this is, because I don't. I told a brother this week who's been going through some tremendous pressure and sicknesses that he's been dealing with all his life. And I told him, I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what you feel. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I understand, because God knows I don't. I have never been afflicted the way you have. I don't know the pain that you're dealing with. I don't know the loss that she's dealing with. I don't know the agony. I don't know the behind the scene. I know a portion of it, but I don't know what that emptiness feels like. So I can only, what's the word, empathize?
Mhm.
I can only empathize with where she's at and then be a support.
Yeah.
Because it may be her today,
Mhm.
but it might be me tomorrow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Rosie says we have to compartmentalize our emotions. Sometimes. I'm choosing not to this time though, Rosie, only for work purposes. When I have to do work in school, then I'm able to put it away. And then I've had even some hard time during some of my Zoom calls or whatever. It gets quite heavy. Like literally, it's just when it runs through my mind and my body. And if I feel it, then I just get emotional all of a sudden. And then the thoughts start. So I'm trying, what I'm learning now is being very mindful of what I'm feeling and dealing with the thoughts as they come, and then casting down anything that starts to run. I don't let it just run in my mind. So I'm having to, I'm just having to process. I'm processing in my own way, but this time I'm not going to put it away and not deal with it for years on end. I feel like I have to, deal with it this time. I want to be better. I'm 47 years old. I'm not trying to be carrying I carried the weight of my mother's death all of my life. She died when I was 4, and I carried that weight of that until I released that children's book. And I promise you, since I released it, I haven't carried that again until dealing with my father, learning who he is and all of that, and then wondering if some of that contributed to her suicide. And that is where it's like, wait a minute, like as I learn, as I get details, and I'm starting to wonder, okay, well then, and then those questions start to go in my mind. And that's a whole nother, there's a whole nother part of this that I'm now having to process, that I am not at liberty to share right now, but it's definitely just a part of it. And having to process that is hard because I carried it for so long. If I didn't deal with it, if I didn't have any problems, and then it wouldn't have been nothing. But I've carried it to try to find these answers. I got my mother's report, her coroner's report, 3 years ago?
mm-hmm.
It's got about 3 years ago is when I finally, the dreams, the nightmares. See, that's another thing. Mine accompany my trauma. Now, this is what we call trauma narratives, right? This is, you guys are seeing my trauma narrative play out. But there's a thing called ACE studies, and I'm about to do a presentation on that one soon, but it's called adverse childhood experiences and how these experiences shorten people's lives. Mm-hmm. So the higher you are on the scale, then the worse you are in life, right? It gives you early heart attacks, cancer, stroke, this type of stuff. Look it up. It's ACE studies. Well, anyway, I'm high on the scale. I'm like a 7 out of a 10 on the ACE studies. And so because of that, I've been trying to pull back these layers because I don't want to, how unfair. Let me tell you how much that would suck. To mess around and get something terminal because I've carried the trauma of my family.
Of which you had absolutely
nothing to do. It's adverse childhood experiences. It's adverse childhood experience. This stuff happened in my childhood, and I've carried it for so long that I've gotten sick. According to the research, and it's a longitudinal study, so it is years and years and years that show that kids who've experienced high levels of trauma in their life, or complex trauma as we call it in therapy, because of that, and you carry it, you end up developing these terminal conditions. It affects your health, right, and ultimately leads to an early death. Well, I don't want that. And that would suck even more. To be sickly on top of all this.
Which is the very reason why we do what we do. Because, first of all, she ain't going to leave me with these kids. Or should I say now these grown people? Because I don't like to deal with them as it is. However, you have to make a concerted effort to make sure that you process things properly, so that you are not carrying a burden that don't belong to you. You don't carry your mama's stuff. You don't carry your grandmama's stuff. You don't carry your
It's
daddy's
not
stuff.
fair. It's not fair.
It's
It'll
not
kill
fair
you.
to you.
It'll
It
kill
will
you.
rob you of your life. It will rob you of
How about
your
that?
health. You don't want that. So it's all right to take a day. I know it's 5 days. It's 7 days. I'm going to say 5. There's 5 days in a week. You have 2 days on the weekend. It's okay to say, all right, you know what? Here's what I'm doing. One of them days, I'm off the grid. I now understand why people get off the grid. Because you need to do what is necessary for yourself. Don't answer your phone. Turn your TV off. Just do what needs to be done for yourself.
And let me say, amongst African Americans, in African American families, this is something that plagues us. In minority families, this is something, Black and brown families, that's something that plagues us, is because we have been exposed, some of us more than others, to high levels of trauma in our life. And we choose not to deal with it because we're told what goes on in this house stays in this house. And so we choose not to seek therapy. We choose not to seek help in processing this stuff, and we end up carrying it. And then it shows up. Like I would ask you the question, if I was doing therapy. This is not a therapeutic session. It's not, because you would have to be paying me right now. So let me just say this. That's my disclaimer. That's my disclaimer on that. Because it's not, but
some of y'all already need to write a check.
But I would ask this. I would ask the question, how has the trauma that you experienced in your childhood showed up in your life today? How has it showed up in your body? How has it showed up in your behavior? Now, that's a true question. And that is therapy. But I'm telling you, how has it showed up in your life? And I charge you to identify ways that it has shown up. It showed up in my weight. It showed up, I have an enlarged heart. I deal with high levels of stress in my back. I get fatigued. Whenever I hear anything that is like if I hear noises, I experience, my mother was involved in domestic violence incidences when I was little. So anytime I hear a knocking on the wall, like somebody bumping up against the wall, my fight or flight goes up extremely high. And so I'm anxious, I'm sweating, I get up, I'm yelling because I'm like trying to see it. Now, if I see somebody fall up against the wall, it's never a problem. But if I hear it, then therefore I am now back in that state of where I was when I was a little girl. My heart's palpitating and all of these things. So I've carried it. I have high levels of inflammation in my body, and I do everything that's right. Trust me. I do sea moss. I do MCT oil, flaxseed. I do all of those things. Irregardless of all of that stuff, just like even now, this morning I woke up with stomach pains. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So I know that now this whole week, last week and this week, I've been dealing with all of this stuff, and now here it comes. And for me, I am so aware. I'm very mindful of my body. And now here these things are. This is what I'm starting to feel. I had a headache. My stomach's hurting. I'm feeling fatigued. And I'm like, okay.
Starts to manifest.
Now it's starting to manifest. It's starting to show up in my body. And I now have to deal with that. But it's a lot. I was hurting also. And the Bible tells us, especially in our brothers and sisters in the Lord, Tiffany lost her mother last week. And to know that she's hurting, that's her mom.
Right.
And to know that she's hurting, I carried that. I was prayerful for her. And yes, you are supposed to just take these burdens and you're supposed to leave them at the altar. But it is hard to do sometimes if you're not sure exactly what they are. You have to first identify it. And if you're going to leave it at the altar, you can't take your burdens to the altar if you don't even know what your burdens are.
Exactly.
So you have to identify those things and take them. But you also may need somebody to help you bring those things to the surface. Bring them to the surface so that you're able to process, so you don't have an early death or let these illnesses show up in your body as a result of the things that you have suffered in your childhood.
Right.
Or things that you suffer in your life.
Here's another thing. And you may want to just consider this. Don't be so quick to tell people to let it go when they may not even know what letting go of. They don't even know what they're letting go of.
And I'm going to tell you something about the let it go. You don't think we wouldn't?
If we would, We would
You
let it
don't
go.
think-
If we could identify what it is that is causing this problem, then I have to let it go. I would gladly give it to you. I would gladly let it go.
wrap it in
However,
in a present and hand it over if it was as simple as just let it go. That's why when people say that your words, great,
just
let it go.
Just let it go. Don't worry.
Tell me
Just
how.
let it go. You got to deal with the thing to let it go. And most of the time, we don't want to deal with it. You got to deal with the pain of it. You got to deal with the trauma of it. You got to deal with the disappointment of it. You got to be mad at it. I don't care if you want to break. Just don't tear your house up.
No,
but
don't.
break whatever you need to break. But you have to deal with it and deal with it in truth and honesty in order to let the pain of that go.
And once you get there, God will do the rest.
He'll do
God will
something
do
for
the rest. You can't,
because it won't hurt no more.
But I got to get there. I got to get to that point. Yeah, I am. I'm a nurse, but I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. So I'm a therapist, a psychotherapist. So yes, I do. However, like I said, I'm not doing that here. Here's a disclaimer. I'm not doing that here because you would have to pay me through your insurance or through, another
sliding scale.
So, but yes, I absolutely do. And I'm licensed to do so in the state of California, and nationally certified to do cognitive behavioral therapy. So trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. So I know all of the skills and I know all of the tools. I'm not ignorant of it. That's what I'm saying. I am a skilled professional in this area. And even now, you are just watching me do the work. I'm writing my trauma narrative in front of you guys, and you're watching it, how it happens. And I'm not ashamed to, because I'm hoping that some people this will be something that somebody can take and do the work themselves. Right. So don't judge me by it, because I definitely would be okay, but I'm going to be as honest and transparent, because I'm not going to sacrifice my life, because that's what it is.
Over trying to save face? No,
not gonna happen.
Don't think so.
Not gonna happen. So if you don't want to see me emotional on a day that I'm emotional,
then it is
log off.
You won't. But here's the thing: we all have some form of trauma that we deal with. I know I'm traumatized. The other night I was, I had the window open, but I can smell smoke. Now I know we got fires going on all around here. And the first thing I'm up, I'm like, okay, what the heck? So I go to the garage, look in the garage, trying to make sure nothing, no spontaneous combustion is taking place. Then I'm looking down the hill, because we live right next to the freeway. So I'm looking down the hill to make sure there's nobody has thrown out a cigarette. And then now we got a small brush fire coming up the hill toward our house. Then I'm looking on the roof. I'm going up to our little clubhouse that sits on the hill in the backyard. Man, I'm trying to look down to see, do I see anything? Is the house next door on fire? Because we went through a house fire. So I'm traumatized.
My kids are too.
They are too.
Anytime they smell smoke, away, everybody jumps up at the same time.
It's a trigger.
And everybody is running around, and everybody, because we remember when, and that's a part of their childhood. We were adult, but that's their childhood experiences. And so that trauma goes into their ACE studies, adverse childhood experiences, that goes in there of having a traumatic event in their life that causes you. It's a traumatic event, and it can cause you problems when you start to see that thing manifest in other ways. So if you have fears and phobias and all of these things as a reload, and you can relate it back to a traumatic event, then it's time to get help with that thing, because you want to be able. We want to live a normal life and not freak out every time we smell smoke in the air. We know what's happening, and this is where you know it's traumatic. This is what separates just, they were in a house fire and they processed and they're okay, versus they have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. The reason why is because we know, here's the cognitive part, that there are fires all around going on right now. We know that the air is thick, the air quality is poor. We know what's happening. But did that stop him from jumping up, running around, looking and all of that stuff? And he had to stop and say, okay, after I have done all of my check, here's where you put what's rational into play. all this what I did. I went out, the garage is fine, and all of that type of stuff. The likelihood of this now being a fire here versus this smell just in the air is now, it's very minimum, right? So now you can say, now if he couldn't relax, we would put him in further therapy. I can't do therapy on him myself, but I would definitely
we're all traumatized at one point or another. Yeah. But you have to be able to pinpoint it, process it, and you got to deal with it.
Okay, Tanisha,
don't make yourself sick. Don't do that. Don't make yourself sick.
All right, we had great comments today. We have gone overtime. Lydia, I'll finish with her comment. We are so accustomed because of a culture of not being transparent. And then we learn being transparent is a process of healing. Then they want to say that we are telling all of our business. We are our brothers and sisters keepers. I will tell all of my business. I'm just letting you know. If you don't want to hear my business, then block me. You can block me. You can take me off. You can hide me for 30 days. There's so many things. But I will tell my business because I really feel like everything that I go through is a testimony to give God the glory, to say that look how far God has brought me. So although you are watching me go through this very painful thing right now, it will be painful until it's not painful anymore.
And he can do that. He can heal it.
And he will. It don't hurt now, I know him for anymore. That. Now, don't get me talking about my God, because I know him to be a healer. So I know that I will be. So I'm confident in that. There's no lack of confidence in God's ability. It is me bringing all of that, all of this emotion to the surface so that God is now, I can lay this thing at the altar, and then God can start this restoration that needs to happen in my soul. I thought about, somebody told me yesterday, where would you have been if none of these things would have happened? I don't know, but I'm looking forward to see the result of after all these things have happened. What is it going to look like on the other side of that? So there's a song that says, watch me roar. You better watch out. Because I think I'm going to be something else once I'm finally completely free. Just saying.
Keep your eyes open.
All right, joy will come in the morning. Yes, thank you. Charity says every bit of it, I'm healing. Yes, I am healed. You may see some scars, right? As Donald Lawrence says, but I'm healed. So, that's a part of it.
And here's the thing. Healing really should start on the inside. But sometimes God allows it to heal from the outside so that you can see that.
There will be glory after this.
But you may feel a little pain underneath the bottom, but it's all right. As long as it's mending, as long as it's healing. Even if it does have to heal from the outside in. We do want inside out. But sometimes it has to be outside in so you can see the actual healing of the scar. But it's all right.
Yep.
Hey.
All right, y'all. I love
this
y'all.
This is it for today. We love you guys.
Thank y'all for coming.
Enjoy the rest of your week. Remember to take care of yourself. Wear your mask.
Rosie, it feels good to smile every now and again because I haven't been for the last few days. But thank you. I love you so much, sis. And I know you have your testimony. And God has been so good to you. And boy, I was there. So I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, God is doing his thing and God is going to continue, and I trust him, and I would love to hear other people's testimonies as they go through theirs. Like all this secret keeping, we're strengthened. We're strengthened because of the testimonies that we hear.
And then you find yourself sick behind somebody else's. No, forget all that.
No,
love you too, Tanisha, and Tamara.
All right, bye, y'all.
Love you guys. Have a great week. We'll talk with you soon.
Bye.